I just have a quick question for the world, and maybe someone can explain this to me. But I was wondering why Deepak Chopra never mentions anything about Hinduism. I understand he doesn't identify as a Hindu. I don't identify as a Hindu. I don't identify as a Buddhist. I don't identify as anything because I'm a pantheist. I guess that's identifying as something. But pantheism, I don't identify with an organized religion within that. I just think it's the best uh, word to describe what I'm going after, but I think Hinduism and Buddhism say the same thing. My question is like, Deepak definitely grew up around the influence of Hinduism, probably. Um, I wonder why he doesn't. I follow him on Twitter. He never mentions anything about any sort of Hinduism and how it's because he's marketing for the West, but that's cool and all, dude, but you should definitely be saying, well, the Hindus were saying this shit from time immemorial and explaining that. I just feel like he could definitely bring in some older traditions to his newer tradition. Not that he can't build off and say whatever the fuck he wants. I'm just saying I find it odd that Deepak do doesn't pull it in. One time I enlightened someone on his Twitter thread because he was like, Deepak, can you just put it in words that we understand? And I could tell that the dude was a Hindu, the dude that was trying to understand Deepak, because Deepak uses his own language, which I'm really into because I use my own language, but sometimes it's nonsensical because he's really into using I am as like the royal I, the divine I, but then it confuses people because I is traditionally used to denote the egotistic self. So I, in that sense, doesn't really exist from a spiritual standpoint. And all he was trying to say was that Brahman is equal to Atman. Brahman is equal to Atman. And that's all he was trying to say, which is like the major axiom of Hinduism. So that's what I told this guy in the thread because that's all he was trying to say. And the guy was like, "Thank you very much. I now understand." And I could just feel it. I could feel it go off. I think I enlightened him. Um, who knows? I don't know who he is. But he said, "Thank you very much." Anyway, I think Deepak, if you ever see this, man, I really like your videos. I watched your video on your Twitter. I mean, your videos are kind of like mine. They don't have any captions, so and they're really poor quality. So if anyone that's deaf wants to participate, they can't really. Same with mine. I do the same thing. It's just because I don't have time, not because I don't want to. Sometimes your wants conflict with the time that you have to put something up. Um, but he posted a video on his Twitter the other day about how we are the singularity pretty much. And the singularity had no cause, but it just was brought forth in and of itself. And it was the the no volume but infinite density of space and time and how magical that was, and I really liked it. However, I just think he could also pull in Hinduism and Buddhism just for fun. Taoism. Because they're trying to say the same thing as the physicist. Oh, the classical physicist. I don't really know what the string theorists are trying to say. I really think string theory only has a place in the Marvel universe, but I could be proved wrong on that. I just don't know where the 11 dimensions are coming from. Where are they coming from? Why is it so not simple in quantum physics, but it's simple in classical physics? We are in a classical world. No matter what quantum says, I feel like classicalism overwrites it because we're classical. We aren't quantum. Things that happen below us are quantum. That feeds into classicalism. One time I was listening to what's his face, the the dude who took a bunch of DMT. Right? Terrence McKenna. Terrence McKenna had this wild theory that that free will came from quantum mechanics. It traveled up from the atoms to us. And that was the most absurd thing that I've ever heard. And I started cackling. I mean, our molecules might have free will, but I don't know how it travels up to us. I don't think the molecules have free will because my heart beats as of now. I have this really cool line in my poetry that goes, when my heart dies, when my heart kills me, it'll die suicide. When my heart kills me, it'll die suicide. Because my heart's gonna commit suicide. I really like my poems. I haven't written many recently. Let me see if I have any more. I just wrote this, I guess. It's not really a poem, but I'll read it. I don't study physics. String theory scares me. I study logic because it's logical. I have a love-hate relationship with humans. I make it a point to say humans and not people because I gave my cat personhood. Speciesism is real, y'all. If you flip a coin and choose DTMs approach NTMs, this is why probability works in the real world. And the creator of Dilbert's book, God's debris, he says that we are the debris of God left over after it killed itself, and the other part of the debris is probability. Sometimes I think we are all trying to say the same thing, only in different ways. Other times I think no one on earth occupies my mental space except me. I guess it's a little bit of both. I wrote that as the description to a video one time, and I think I removed it, so it never got published. Now you have it. Oh, I have to add a new dictionary definition to Kurtlish. I'm constructing my dictionary of Kurtlish, which is my dialect. I came up with a new word. It's called perfectionitch. It's a combination between perfectionist and and bitch. Perfection itch. It's a person who could be a perfectionist, but they think they're perfect. If you run into a perfectionist, they don't think that they're perfect. They in fact think they're far from perfect, and that's why they're perfectionists. But there are perfection itches who think they're perfect and never do anything perfect. And so it drives perfectionists insane. Because they're like, no, it's perfect. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's working. It's not perfect, but fine. Anyway. What else is in my Kurtlish dictionary? God with a capital G is the universe. Gods with a lowercase g are megalomaniacs who make rules. Ego God with a capital G is societal tropes. Sex, chromosomes and internal reproductive organs. Gender, functioning genitalia. Roles, things employed to be confirmed in one's identity. Ego, a sustained illusory self created by relativity. Zombies, television junkies. Cis supremacist, second puberty, transition. Fear of death mongers, Western doctors. Meaning of life, growing towards the light. Life, chaotic energy, the energy that is neither created nor destroyed. And then add logic symbolism because logic is in my language. Three dots is there for backwards E, there exist. Upward, upside down A for all. Mocking J, person who abandons imagination to conform. That's the Kurtlish Dictionary as of now. There's a lot more. This is what I have written down. Anyway, I've read this before on, I've read this before, but I'm going to read it again to see if you all get it this time. It's called Finding the Dolly. Who wants to be it? The old man's up and died. Who among the firstborns have discovered the truth inside? Step forward and be crowned. All you need is courage and trust in oneself. We are all the same, rebirth after rebirth, till death do us part. Do you guys get it yet? I just want to wake y'all up. I've read it before on this channel, but I'm reading it again because I don't think enough people got it the first time. What I'm trying to say is I am the Dalai Lama. Like, the Dalai Lama, the one that was rebirthed, is in all of us. Anyone can be the Dalai Lama. You just have to be there at the right time in the right place and then say, I'm the Dalai Lama. I think I beat the Dalai Lama. Why did I beat the Dalai Lama? Well, I could have been the Dalai Lama, but instead I'm a really tall trans man. I think that my body is cooler. Anyway, the Dalai Lama is still pretty cool. I love him. He's great. I couldn't do what he does. I would have, fought for Tibet already. He does, in his own way. But I'm sure he's fighting. He's a good man. The Dalai Lama has suffered a lot. This Dalai Lama. He's still full of peace and good times. Try to be like the Dalai Lama.